about learning today? What is your level of enthusiasm? Have you been feeling boring, lazy, or nervous, excited? Can some of you share your feeling right now before
We
we
are
actually move
excited,
on?
sir.
Okay, excited. Others, what others participants are feeling right now?
We all are
In terms of
excited,
how
sir.
in terms of how the session will move forward based on yesterday's orientation also. Some more voices I would like to hear before I start.
Yes, sir. We are really, really excited.
What are you really excited about? If you can say that, that would be nice.
Yeah, it's a new field for us. I'm a BVA first semester student, and I want learn content writing and proposal writing. I never learned such class previous, so I'm really excited.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know that you really want to learn on content writing. So I administer an approach of interaction and more open discussion. You might have also noticed from yesterday's orientation as well. So the idea is like you need to be able to express yourself. What are you feeling currently? It's not only about disseminating you content overload in terms of 4 days not only the plan is also like to help you learn it in a more meaningful way, in a more relaxed manner as well, yes, to the best of your abilities, and also to tailor your individual needs, because not all of us are in the same stage of writing. Some of us may have written something already, some of us are very new to this field. So just if you could spontaneously share what you're feeling, what you're looking ahead, so these things will really help us to make our session very lively. So that's why I keep on asking, my participants, learners in between, in the beginning of the session. So that's the idea. Yes, some of you would like to share few things more, then I'll begin. Priyanka, are you there, Priyanka? I can see your name in the
Hello.
screen. Yeah.
Yes, I'm
So
here.
what's your feeling right now?
Um, well, I'm really interested content writing, in content writing, and I've been doing it. But I guess I'm kind of stuck. Like I don't know how to move ahead. So I'm guessing this. I wasn't able. I wasn't here yesterday because I just found out about it today. So I I don't know. I don't know what this exactly what exactly is going to happen, but I'm looking forward to learning a lot of things, and maybe it will help me progress or what, because I'm stuck right now.
Okay, thank you. Nice to hear you, Priyanka. You missed yesterday's orientation, but that would not be a problem because the real session will begin from today. Uh, okay, then Shanta Bahadur, excited. That is what you.
Hello,
Yeah. Would you like to share few words?
hello.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Uh, good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Emmanuel. Good afternoon.
Please can. Yesterday was a powerful time as we went through some of the introduction, and we are expecting that by the end of this session, we will be able to understand the concept of blogging and a whole lot of things about blogging and how we can write our own personal blogs. That's what I'm expecting today.
Okay. So, ca- Can you see my screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Okay. Uh, so today, as like home has already highlighted, we'll try to understand about the concept of content at first, like into a more deeper level. Yesterday, we did a brainstorming exercise, and I wanted you to share your prior knowledge about content. So, today, in a more comprehensive manner, we try to understand content, what sort of literatures or theories say regarding the term content. How do we understand? Is there a universal view of the term content, or are there contradictory or opposing views also? So those sort of things we'll try to identify what a content really encompass. And after that, what makes a good content? What are the features of a content? We'll try to look into that as well. And then we go into some popular forms of content, their basic understanding, and then we begin blogging. So blogging will just begin today, and we'll do at a more deeper level tomorrow, blogging and media writing. And in that level, we'll go ahead. Okay. So yesterday also, you guys have shared few things about content. So content as a very umbrella term, it looks very vague because different things imply content to different people. When you say, suppose there's a product and the product has a content, then that is the ingredients of a product. Okay. So what is the content of a milk packet? If we say like that, so that means what are the ingredients in the milk? That is also one way we can understand content. But in other case, content also means like content regarding the packaging information, the manufacturing information. So it might also be about pertinent information of a milk product. So what really constitute a content is very difficult to exactly ascertain. In that sense, it's a very vague concept, and different things might imply to different people. But generally speaking, in content there is information, and that information has some benefits or use for a person like who consumes means not just consumption in terms of eating or directly getting the service, but also in terms of his or her exposure to the things. Like suppose you read something about a particular product, then you get more uh, useful information of that product, so you consume that product in that sense. So that sort of key information will always be there in a content, and that information again will give you some benefit. Could be a direct benefit in most cases, also indirect kinds of benefits or non-tangible benefits also could be there emanating from a content. So when we say content, it's not necessarily only the textual matters. It could also be audio content, or audio visual, or multimedia. Yes, so there are so many ways in which a content can be expressed. So what we should not be confused is that content only has to be in terms of text. There can be non-text, audio, or video materials, and in fact, these are increasing over the past few years. If you look at podcast a popular content form, infobooks will come into that little later. So these sort of new content forms are also emerging. So if we see, from the dictionary meaning, how the word content has been, described in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. I just have borrowed one definition. Then what it says is like, for a single word, there are so many, definitions or meaning. Topics or matters related in written work. That should be related. Okay, please read that as related. That has been misspelled there. Sorry for that. So related in written work, that's topic or matters related to a written work. That is one meaning of a content. Principal substance. As I said, what are the real materials, inbuilt in that particular product or service? That is also a content. But there is a written matter or illustration. Yes, as I said, could be pictures, images. It also like refers to websites, since online, when we say content, online content has become synonymous. So it tries to explain in terms of online content. So if we look more deeper, then there is this definition by content. One content marketing expert, Joe Pulizzi. So what he says is it's very compelling information content. When we talk about content, it is compelling in a sense like it forces us, to go into action, or let's say to buy a product or to get access to a service. So that kind of compelling element is what a good content is. And obviously there is the element of information, but he not only talks about information, also engagement. Okay, so engagement means when you are referring to a particular content, you feel some sort of connection or attachment to that content. Okay, so that is about engagement. And amusement in terms of surprises, something not expected. Yes, so if uh, a quality content is a content that can also bewilder people in a more positive sense, amuse, give some surprises, the way the product or service is being offered, for example, the way in which the information has been disseminated. There could be some areas of amusement in those aspects also. So if we go into more nuanced level, I think this one is more comprehensive. Any communication in any medium. Okay, so means of communication regardless of medium. Medium could be online or offline. We're not really bothered about that. So, but there's a certain purpose in that purpose. There's an objective. So it could be to influence others, educate, inform, not necessarily inform. Okay, so this is more comprehensive. If you see this meaning of a content, it is more like not only information, but also related to education. You might be giving some knowledgeable insights. That is education. So informing and educating are different things. We need to be clear on this. I briefly touched on this yesterday as well. So information is at a very basic level. You are trying to compile things. That's information. Education is, it appeals more to knowledge. It requires more in-depth study, analysis, and research. So from that comes education. Maybe you are referring to a particular theory or some scholarly work. So that is about educating or catering to knowledge. But information basically is at a more subtle level. And then warn also, sometimes some content will also be trying to warn people not to follow a particular product. Could be like this could be in terms of business competition, buy my product and not buy the other's product. That could also be the form of content. Then expression, definitely there is their expression of oneself, what you are feeling really about something. Like when you laugh a lot, could be your personal reflection on any situation, okay, or any come across in a particular situation. Or in some cases, like you try to generate a debate or a dialogue on a particular issue, and for that you would like to involve in content writing. So sparking conversation in a very contextual setting, that could also be uh, the inherent idea of writing a content. So this definition compared to the other one is more comprehensive, and it has tried to accommodate so many aspects, influencing, educating, informing, expressing, warning, and things like that. So another important thing is like content is contextual. Now that is the learning that we need to take. Content is not, there's no unanimous definition of content. Content cannot operate in vacuum. So it emanates from a particular context. Okay, in what kind of context or scenario or situation you are talking about something, based on that, your content will be defined. And it has more usage value. There's some use of content for people. or could be for particular audience, or could be for those who are directly consuming the information or the education of a product or a service. So contextualization is very important when we try to understand the content. So context is basically in what scenario situation are we talking about a content. Whether we are talking about a content in terms of the product key information inbuilt in this, or in terms of the possible qualities, features that the product has. So that becomes pretty contextualized. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Hello. Okay, so any quick questions, clarification on the very basic notion of content? We try to go more comprehensive. I exposed you with a lot of definitions, ideas regarding content from multiple perspectives. So do you have any quick thing to add over, or like some confusions or quick questions? No?
No,
Since
sir.
I'm doing my full screen share, I would not be looking at your text message. Okay, so it would be better if you unmute and quickly speak here, because I'm doing a full screen of my presentation here for now. So if you quickly would like to speak something on this, what a content constitute, we talked about this. No?
Priyanka raised a hand. Priyanka, you can unmute and speaker.
Yeah, yeah, very quickly.
I'm sorry, there was just a mistake. But I'm understanding everything you're saying.
Okay, okay, we can talk little later as well. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now what are the qualities, or how does a content stand out? That is what I would like to discuss. So what are the qualities or characteristics of a good content? So content could be for any form, okay? But basically all type of contents, they should have these elements. Okay, one is uniqueness. Uniqueness, in a sense, like so many things, so many articles have been written on the same topic. Okay, for example, if you are planning to start a blog, I mentioned this yesterday as well, or you are planning to write a media article, let's say on child rights, human rights, so many people have already written on that topic time and again. So what newness are you really bringing in your content, and why should people look into that if you are not bringing anything fresh? So that is a very important question that we need to consider when we are engaged in content writing. So uniqueness could come in terms of fresh, novel perspective, or also in terms of approach. Okay, like how do you write? Maybe you can bring some newness in the way you start your opening paragraph. As we briefly touched yesterday, storytelling, you can bring some dialogic context, and then set the tone and write. That could be one approach. Another approach could be you can just narrate a story, a simple case story of 3 4 lines, and then begin your real article. Or you can maybe use some prose. There are so many things. So these are some of the things that we need to consider when we are writing a content. So uniqueness would be very significant. Another important thing is we are writing content for a particular audience. So we need to write in such a way that they will have no problems in understanding what we have written. Okay, so that is a that has to do with understandability. So if your content contains very complex words, and which may be very difficult for your segmented audience to understand, then your content has no value. Okay, no matter how quality content you have produced, until and unless your audience will be able to consume that, or also in a very easy or convenient manner, your content will have no value. So we should keep in mind when we are writing a content, who our target audience is and what sort of language will they feel easy. Okay, so that has to do with readability. Engagement is definitely important. definitely important, like to your content should be able to appeal not only intellect but also emotion. Okay, like it should also be able to generate empathy. Could be feelings of joy, sorrows, aggression, hatred. But your content basically should encourage you to be in some sort of action. Okay, so in that sense, it should be very engaging. Like if there is a greater disconnect between your content and your audience, then that would not be a good content. So how can you make it engaging? Again, that again depends on your style of writing. How do you write? Sometimes if you write in such a way that the readers feels he or she is himself or herself speaking in the article, that could be one way. Yes, so that is how we can make engaging. For example, if we are writing articles, so we need to think of this. Okay, and from a standpoint of a reader or audience, we need to read our articles before we publish it. Okay, so and then we try to build a connection. Again, these are not easy things. This will come along the way as much as we keep on writing. We cannot crack these skills in a single day, but we need to keep in mind that is the basic plan. Why I'm sharing all these things is when you are writing a content, could be a proposal writing, could be a blog writing, but that should be engaging, that should be unique, that should be readable. Yes, these are non-compromising traits that we look in for every forms of content. And findable in a sense, like these days, marketing that is also growing. So you have a lot of ways to grow professionally and also from economic point of view. So people will want to look at your content, and best quality content will be ranked in Google. Yes, so you should so a good content or a very uh, a content with great quality should appear at the top of Google. That is what we are trying to say here. Search results. Basically, Google is a popular, most popular search result. So that is findable. Okay. So findable means people should be able to associate with your article. And suppose they look into child education, for example, and if you are consistently writing a blog on child education, then your blog should come in the top of the page, or let's say in the top 5 or top 10 list. Okay, suppose you are writing on the issue of contemporary socio-economic economic and politics, so your articles or your views should come on top of the page. So that has to do with finding you. People will be constantly looking at your article, and if you have a great content, then they will find you easily, and Google will also rank you. Again, there are so many technicalities with this. We need to learn more about, like search engine optimization and digital marketing. That's a very different field, but those sort of trainings are also ongoing in the market. How we can make our blog or article, more SEO friendly. You might have heard these terms. So you can dig more into that if you're interested. Another important thing, more importantly, from my own experience, your content should be burning with passion. What you are writing should appeal to others, not only in terms of the real, presentation of ideas, content overload, but also that should also hint at some level of enthusiasm and in-depth research, like how deep you have immersed into the topic. Okay, no matter the topic is a very simple topic from a food recipe, but if you need to write with passion, that means you need to show through your writing that you have involved in that with great sort of research skills, in-depth analysis, reading so many food blogs already published and already available in the market, not only nationally but regionally and globally as well. So if you can indicate a sense of passion in your writing, then you also become a sustainable writer. Otherwise, you'll write one article and then you fade away. So this trend is quite prevalent in our market, particularly in terms of young enthusiasts have a very high enthusiasm in the beginning, but then they fade away. So passion, if they are really passionate, so passion could be in terms of a particular issue. You don't have to write in every issue, but if you really want to like communicate through the power of writing, then you need to consistently engage in that issue. And while doing so, you'll do a lot of research or a lot of hard work. So that should be demonstrated. So that has to do with passion. Okay, going good so far. Am I clear?
Hello, can I
Hello.
ask a question?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
When you talked about readability, I have also read that don't use slangs, because slangs everybody will not understand slangs. But sometimes when you're writing, without the use of the slang, the paragraph or the sentence doesn't just it's just not fun without the slang. So how do you combat that?
Again, slang has a very negative connotation, like if you say slang as such. But what is one thing is like we can also segregate our content in terms of formal and informal writing. Okay, so what sort of content writing form are we talking about? Sometimes we have spaces for
uh,
informal writing
Informal writing.
also. Yeah, yeah. So in some type of informal writing, like we can write beyond the structure, we can say like that. Okay, not slang as such, like, but going beyond the structure. We don't have to necessarily fit into a particular structure. We can make our content very funny, as you said, funny in a sense, I think joyful, that is what you want to say. Not necessarily using very hard complicated word, but in a more simple terms. So yes, in that sense we can definitely play with words and ideas. But when we say slang as such, it has like more negative connotation. But instead of slang, I think we can go into more informal ways and use like local, local sort of dialects or languages. Yes, that's definitely possible. We do that in social media writing as well to some extent. So we'll also talk about how we should write for social media. So that session also might be useful to you. How we write emails, how we write for Facebook, Twitter, and other popular medias. Yeah, other questions, concerns, or you can also add your comments. Not necessarily questions. Your comments, your observations, that would also be very useful. You don't have to pose a question as such all the time, but what you have observed, maybe some of you have been writing based on that. Also, you can share your experience. Okay. Yes, anyone would like to share?
um, I have one more question. It's not related to this exact topic we're studying right now, but this is a problem that I frequently have. You've talked about uniqueness, and there's a sense of originality that comes with it. But like, uh, when I need to write something, I go online and then I read articles about something, and then when I read about something like that, and I read articles about that, my originality is like. It's not original, I guess. And how do I write original stuff? But like, but so yeah, that's the problem. Like, how do I write original stuff without copying, but I'm referring to the articles online?
Yeah, okay, that's a very pertinent question, but it's again very difficult to answer exactly like how you can be original. But we can definitely embark on the journey of being original. Okay, so what we should not be confused is like referring to certain literatures that doesn't kill our originality. But the problem is we've not been raised in such a way that we understand the ways in which we need to extract or we need to engage in critical reading. Okay, how to read and review those stuffs and bring back the originality. So originality definitely requires again critical reading. Okay, so it doesn't come like in a vacuum. Okay, so being original, what are the ways in which we can become original? It's very difficult to answer, but one very useful tips that I can give you is one, you have to improve your critical reading habit. How can we read critically, like beyond the lines? the main idea should be yours, but you are trying to find some, research based evidences and references to back up your ideas, but the original idea should be yours. Okay, again, it's very difficult. You'll master this skill over the time, but also your intent is also very important in this. Okay, your intention of writing original without so much being exactly copying things. But the problem is we have not been taught even how to like properly reference. Okay, what is real plagiarism and what is not, we've not been taught even in our research methodology classes perhaps. So that's a problem. That's a pervasive problem. But I would what I would like to say here right now for the moment is you can definitely become an original writer. You need to first imbibe and instill the reflective values of being original. Okay, you should be very firm on your commitment. That should be your intent in the beginning. And in the next step, how you can learn is like the various strategies of reading, critically reading beyond the text, trying to identify the gaps, and then bring your perspective. Again, your perspective will be backed by your observation experience. If you write your own experience, for example, and the mainstream idea is something different, then you are becoming original. Okay, so originality does not necessarily have to conform to the existing value systems or ideas argument ongoing. You can have a very contrary view as well. But original is something that is appealing to your heart, your emotion also, not only intellect. Not only intellect but also emotion sometimes. Again, that depends on the nature of issue, what type of issue you are picking up and writing. I think that much would be fine for now. Did I make something clear on originality?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so you'll master this over the time. You need some patience and also need to learn the techniques of critical reading and analysis. Okay, so shall we move ahead then, or other few comments, concerns? Okay, so originality also comes here in authenticity. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Okay. So again, another moving on to other qualities of quality content that should not be fabricated or falsified claims. Like your content will not be good if you just bring so many data and information. We also look into the relevance of those data, informations, examples, or maybe let's say visual images, graphics. Those things have to come in alignment with the real message of the content. Okay, if they are really outward or if they are beyond the track of the message that the content is trying to deliver, then that makes no sense. So we see this lot happening in our context in many types of content. Like we see lot of falsified, unverified claims, okay, without doing any proper research. Like if we get some for example, if we get some information from Wikipedia, then from a research point of view, we are not supposed to cite from Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is a platform where everyone can edit things. So if we refer to Wikipedia in our content that demands more research, then our content becomes unauthentic. So we need to keep in mind about authenticity. Again, the level of authenticity depends on the type of writing. If you are writing for social media, maybe sometimes quick authenticity lapses would not be a main issue. But if you are writing for media, mainstream media, or if you are writing uh, for more like proposals or research based endeavors, then at that time authenticity will be a big issue. So we need to be authentic and original to the extent possible. Then headline definitely is there in every content, because the idea is people will not read everything at once. They will first try to look into the headline, and if they find it interesting, they will move into the preceding paragraphs. So if they do not get a good taste of what the article is really trying to convey in the headline, perhaps they would not read. And we can also like compare this to our own scenario. How many articles have we really read without going through headline? Or if we find a headline boring, then we have dropped, I think, many articles. Uh, but in some cases, even we did not find the issue very much appealing. But looking at the headline, we might wanted to jump into some paragraphs and get an idea of what the article is really trying to say. Okay, so action-oriented content will be again impeccable. So for doing that, we try to tell through our content if there is some way in which we can help our readers. Let's say we are talking about a particular problem, then we also need to give solution, and then we also need to ask readers to apply those solutions to our writing. So that is call for action in one sense. In another sense, if we are promoting our product or service, then we need to, craft our content in such a way that people will start buying our product or offering our services. Okay. So let's say, for example, advertisement copy. Copywriting is one form of content writing. So if you are writing for advertisement or sales, or let's say even college brochures, prospectus. So what is the idea? The idea is we want people to read the prospectus and get admitted in our institution, for example, yes, in our college or university. So that call for action should be there in a content. So how do we put this? There are some strategic ways in which we put this in many content writing forms. You see one or two sentence which says like hurry up and grab your seats, for example, is those type of statements that indicate call for action. Yes. So your deadline is approaching, so please book your seats, for example. So in that way, we try to appeal to the action, and we get people directly getting into some business. That is also the idea of a good content. Then reliability, definitely. As I said, data and information merely won't suffice. We also need to find the accurate source, like official records of government and other corporate houses. So we need to bring those rather than very fragmented data. We cannot bring fragmented data that will be very difficult, to find evidence of. Okay, so that is very important, particularly in content writing that demands more research. So we should try to be as reliable as possible. And images and videos, definitely they add value to our content, but the use should be suitable. Okay, that's very important. There are two sides. Just keeping images and videos won't won't allow you to produce a good content, but you also need to find the suitability or connections. Like your paragraph should be linked to the video or the email that you are posting. If the real content or the writing paragraphs are wayward from your images and videos, then you will not be using expressions. So keep this in mind. And conciseness is again important. We try to write to the point. So here we should not be confused that writing long articles also means being concise. Okay, long and writing, whether writing a long or short article, doesn't have to do with conciseness. Conciseness is more you are writing to the point. That doesn't mean you have to include bullet points all the time. This is not what we are talking about. But even in paragraph, you are trying to write very accurately. For example, there is this concept, one idea, one paragraph. Yes, basically in one paragraph there is only one basic idea we try to highlight, and the other are the supporting sentences or evidences that we try to put in that paragraph. This is a general form of any sort of writing, but there could be exceptions as well. So conciseness has to do with not trying to bring so many exaggerations, but trying to be to the point. What you are really trying to talk about on a particular issue, you do not deviate from that. Okay, that is conciseness. Okay, so sometimes that also means cutting uh, irrelevant words or ambiguous words. Yes, in that sense, we might have a content of a very short length, but not necessarily all the time. Even long extended contents will have to be concise. Okay, so conciseness has to do with writing what you really need to write, rather than just beating about the bush and not really being able to convey what you are really trying to say. So again, conciseness is, it's a very difficult skill to master upon, because when we are asked to give, the learnings of a 3 or 4 hour session in 2 or 3 minutes, then that is an example of being concise. But how easy would that be if you have learned so many things and you have to say it very concisely in 2 3 minutes? Or let's say sales speech for management business students, then there are 30-second sales speech or elevator speech, they say, yes. So how do you how will you be able to present? That's a big challenge, but we need to adapt to that, because the market of being conciseness and precise is growing over the years. All good so far. We are done with content and its features for now. Anyone would like to add anything? Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Yes, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay.
Oh.
No additional comment, discussion on these matters from others, those who have not spoken so far. Maybe few statements would help as we move ahead. So I'm not being able to appeal the call for action, that what we are talking here. Call for action. So coming into the discussion, that's an example of call for action, putting your comments or stepping ahead with questions or discussions, reflections. So these are all examples of call for action. So I'm trying to appeal to call for action, but not being substantially able to achieve so far. Although there are few action-oriented learners are also emerging. Okay, so then what are these content writing popular forms? There are so many. One is blog. So we'll talk about blog and media article in greater detail tomorrow. Okay. So would you like to learn about media article as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sure.
So blog and media article, we'll focus more on blog and media writing tomorrow. We'll just begin the basics of blogging today. Blog is like, as I said, any individual can also start. Blog is kind of a diary, your personal observation experience. Yes. So that is one popular form of content writing. Then another is, as I said, we call opinion articles in the mainstream media. You write on different topics. So that is media article, another popular form of content. Copywriting, I just briefly mentioned when I gave an example in call for action. Advertisement, you are writing for making an advertisement or brochures or sales copies. So these are the examples of copywriting. Then social media, how do you professionally write emails? How do you post content on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or other mediums? So that is social media writing. So we might like be amused with whether we have to be serious in social media writing as well. But if you look into the critical theories and principles of social media writing, we definitely have to be, uh, you know, bothered about the way we write, the manner in which we need to communicate. So there's some established principles on social media writing. I would discuss that as well throughout these 4 days. Then case studies, you as a management and business student, many of you know this. So basically, we are trying to do an in-depth study of a particular situation or scenario, or in some cases, a few individuals based on a certain context. So We also produce business case studies. That is also one form of content. Then white papers, they say white papers are relatively, they are long and extended versions of writing, and they have a lot of information. Okay, lot of information, and they are also solution oriented. For example, there could be a white paper on the economic scenario of a country. Okay, that could be issued by government. So in our context, like if you remember, Nepal Rashtra Bank has issued white papers when our country's economy was at a terrible low uh, during the blockade period as well. So occasionally white papers come along. Okay, so they are more like elongated and elaborated version, but the characteristics feature of white papers is they keep problems and they also offer solutions. So they don't just leave problems as they are, but they also bring some solutions or recommendations to address those problems. So these are white papers more at a policy level. White papers are issued. So white papers not necessarily in only government institutions, but also in private and corporate sectors. Could the name could be different, but the form of extended writings as white papers also come along. Then we have infographics. When we say infographics, in infographics, basically, we try to bring information from various content into a. Suppose you have 5 to 10 case studies, then a single infographics can summarize, the key findings or learnings of those case studies. So these are also very useful content writing tools, particularly in the field of research and policy engagements. Okay, if you see the websites of research institutes, then they tend to put these infographics about the accomplishments of the projects they have made. So even in development sectors, NGOs, INGOs, we can see this. So infographics is also a popular form, and videos and podcasts we all know. So these are so many, varying forms of content writing, and even including these, even sorry, excluding these, there can be others also. So content writing is a very, comprehensive term, as I suggested, and there's no limit or boundary to what exactly falls under content writing. Okay, so now before like moving into blog, I have a few discussion questions. I would like you to ponder upon these questions for 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, then I'll continue the session. Can you see my screen and the questions there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I would like everyone to spend 5 to 7 minutes on reflecting into these questions. Okay. So you can see that. So questions are pretty clear. So please spend 5 to 7 minutes on reflecting into these questions. Like you might have read a blog, most of you. So if you have, what do you think really a blog is, and what type of qualities in a blog have attracted you? Because you might have a choice of reading blogs, and you might instead of the other. And also, I expect some of you might have even started your blog or your writing, or may have contributed for some blogs. I don't know. That is just my anticipation questions. So please spend 5 minutes reflecting on these questions. We'll have an open discussion. I want many of you to participate and quickly share your experience, observations on these questions, and then we will move ahead. Okay. So 5 minutes. We'll think on these questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, can you please share now? Hello? Can you please share? Who would like to start? Let's briefly discuss on these questions. Hello, home. Can you listen to me? Hello.
Um. Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So where have our
Hello.
participants?
Can you display the
Yes, yes.
questions
Where
again,
have?
please?
Okay, sure. Didn't you see the questions? All of you?
No, no. Yeah, we saw it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So let's get started with this. I'm not hearing from you on these. I would like to hear what is your observations, understanding, experience related to these questions. Please share.
So I think blogs are actually informal way of expressing opinions, and they're really interactive. So I guess people are more interested in that, and there's no particular structure that makes it easier for everyone to, you know, blog. So I think that's what people are more interested in them, the fact that they're interesting and easy. And
Mhm.
I have a blog, and that's the problem I have a blog, but I don't know how to make it, uh, interesting or more audience friendly, I guess.
So you have written, but that's not updated. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Kusal sir,
Uh,
I
yeah, yeah.
I also do have a blog and I kind of write some time on my blog. So actually, blog can be formal and informal. The way you put it, and the way your audience are. So
Mhm.
no kind of blog kind of like a informative kind of blog where I give a general introduction
Yeah.
of business, how can start normal business and all. And now I'm also writing one blog which is actually for small entrepreneur who can uh, go through my blog also and through my YouTube video also. So I'm planning on that. I'm working on that. So it should be a structural and you should know about your participant who are going to read your blog and what kind of people will be going to interact. So that kind of language you need to have on that blog, and it should be a concise and precise kind of information you need to share on blog maybe.
Yeah, that's really some pertinent information on blogging that he has shared. Very being very precise into the information, and then knowing our audience, in advance, whom are we writing the blog for, knowing their taste, preferences, and also like blog could be formal and informal or structured. Unstructured depends on the nature of the issue, the type of audience, or the type of content that we are trying to cater, whether we are just giving an information or we are going into the level of more like appealing knowledge. So that depends, or could be an amalgamation of both formal and informal also. Okay, thank you so much. Other ideas?
So I have
Hello.
read. Yeah, sorry. Am I audible?
Yeah, sure. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir. I have read blogs and I also write, but I don't have my own blog. I don't know how to actually.
Okay, so what kind of qualities in a blog you look for then when you read? There's one question on that as well. We've not talked much on that.
Yeah. I think when I search, when I'm reading food related blogs, obviously I would want contents related with food and uh, structure also related with food. Pictures must be there, and in blogs there must be links that I might have missed in previous blogs, and also that would connect to that content, something like that.
Okay, thank you. Any other ideas coming up? One or two?
Okay, let me speak up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Blog is a website or web page written by an individual or group of members in informal style, proposing for information
Hmm.
or entertainment.
Okay.
Mm,
And have you read some blogs so far? Or
as I read it before.
okay, so while reading, like what kind of blog you read? What type of qualities, in fact, makes a blog interesting for you?
Um, in my opinion,
Mhm.
blogs should have interesting topic with uh, with informative pictures, uh, words, and more.
Okay, thank you. So the next slide,
Thank you.
next slide is basically about blog that I have here, but it would be very nice, like if I can build on your previous understanding. So many of the ideas that have emerged so far, they are quite consistent with the concept of blogging. So you may not find something new, but you might find a more refined, understanding of the blog. So basically, blog we
Okay.
express our thoughts and in a more free manner. When we say expressing our thoughts, there are no restrictions as such, because blog is something you can start on your own. So you can express your thoughts freely. You can share your experiences, could be good, bad. So it is like more, at a personal level, writing, but more to personal human emotions. Many of the blogs are in structured in an informal way, and I have used the phrase, if you notice, structured in an informal way. Even if we are writing in an informal manner, there should be a structure. Okay, so within a structure also we can become informal. So informality has to do with the language that we use. Yes, so that is the part of informality, like not necessarily like following introduction or the main section and conclusion, something like that. That is one sort of breaking the barriers on that. That's an example of informality. But that doesn't mean your blog can be, haywire. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's free will writing. Doesn't mean you can write whatever in whatever manner you would want to, because there are again certain principles of blogging that we need to keep in mind. But on a more general level, the issues raised by blogs are related to personal and human emotions matter. So in that sense, it's informal, and the informality component is quite heavy in blogs. Okay, so as you've already said on this, like that is published through web pages. And updateness, another important thing in blogging is we should frequently update. Okay, if we write one blog and then if we fade away and then come with another blog after 2 3 months, then principally that's not, we're not considered a blogger, or we cannot be uh, considered as a blog writer. So we need to continuously update our blogs. So what is the frequency of updating? Again, that depends on us. Maybe once a week or maybe once every fortnight, but we cannot be very late. Okay, so we have a blog page and then we update one article and then we try to come up with another article in 3 to 4 months. Then that's not a good characteristics of a blogger. Okay, so topics or issues in which we can write blogs. Again, there is no limit on that. We can start from a very trivial matter like cooking and traveling tips to very technical issues like climate change, economic reforms, and digital marketing. Okay, so what we are trying to say here is like so the idea of informality and formality also should be understood in this context. Okay, like if we are writing in some serious topics like climate change, economic reform, so then they become more formal. The language becomes more formal. Okay, and the structure also becomes more formal. But even in that formality, we can express pertinent information in more informal way. Informal means like everyday communication we can use. Yes, suppose we are writing about climate change, then a researcher on climate change can write his the daily experience of meeting with people and what they are saying about climate change in few sentences or paragraphs. So that's an example of being informal, okay, within a more formal structure. Or economic reforms. So these are serious issues, but in blog we do not write in a very simple manner. Like economic reform means these are the characteristics of economic reforms, and these are the importance of economic reforms and challenges. Not in that structure, because that becomes very dull and boring. Okay, so we try to bring some interesting angles to the same issue of economic reforms. Okay, suppose we maybe we can read some historical narratives of the economic reforms globally, the success and failures, and then extract one or two stories in our blogs. So in that way our blogs might be interesting. Okay, so becoming interesting is also very important in blogging. That separates blogging from other type of content writing. Okay, it's not about information overload, but more about being interesting and enticing to the audience. Okay, so if you are writing in a very boring and dull fashion, in a very typical way of essay writing, so that is not a good characteristics of blogging. So blog usually there's no word limit for blogging as such, but they are usually long because you can express freely. So you can write in dialogic or storytelling form as well. So it will become relatively long. Okay, and there's no hesitation or fear as such. If you have started your own blog, you can write whatever you would like to say on a particular topic. But the thing is like your audience may like or dislike the blog, or people may read or not read or not respond to your blog. But as a writer, you have absolute freedom to write. There is no censorship as such. Okay, when we talk about media articles, that doesn't exist because you're writing for a particular publications and they have their own ethical standards and guidelines. And if we do not follow that, then our articles won't be published, for example. That's not the case with blog. Getting my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
we are.
sure.
Okay. So, blogging as a form of content writing has been tremendously growing over the last, few decades. If you see, so more people are coming into blogging as a means of, professional livelihood. There are so many opportunities of monetizations also coming up through blogging, but again, that's a very far-fetched dream for now. That's a long journey. We have to first start our blog. We have to be consistent in our writing. But over the time, learning, as I said, learning about SEO and digital marketing strategies, we can become a professional blogger as well. So Neil Patel is one of the famous professional blogger, and one of his quote on blogging is like, you have to be consistent in blogging. Okay, if you really want to grow as a blogger, consistency is a must. It's not about the quality of content. Okay, forget about the quality of content. Sometimes you might have a thought that I would not be able to produce a quality content if I have to update it regularly. I have so many other engagements as well. You forget about that. More important is you have to be consistent. So write whatever you can in a particular period of time. Okay, try to become as structured as possible. Like try to follow the principles as far as possible, but that should not be an excuse for not producing a blog. Okay, think about blog as a diary. Many of us might have the habit of writing a diary. So what do you really write in your diary? There are some social issues that might be coming up in your diary, or some family matters. So there's no boundary of blogging as such. So in that sense, if you really are passionate about writing, then you can be consistent. Okay, so why blogging is important then? Not only like from the professional point of view, at a more personal level, if we have the habit of writing a diary, now if I give an analogy of a blog and a diary, then we are critically reflecting in our diary. Yes, we try to write what went really good throughout the day, what were the mishaps in the particular day, or if we are picking a particular issue, then we try to write the positive side of the issue, the negative consequences, and your learning, things like that. So if we are engaging in such practices, then we are critically reflecting. So critical reflection is a very important, skill that we subconsciously master upon as we engage in blogging. Another is like it's the most powerful, I would say. Like you can express your emotions. If you have really a hatred towards a particular social or a political system, then you can vent out that through a robust blogging. Okay, so if you have a good content writing skill, then your blog will be very appealing to the audience, and even in some cases the policy makers whom you really target while writing your blogs. You are unsatisfied with the existing political system, the growing injustices in society, so you can freely come up with your ideas, yes, without any barrier. But that sort of liberty in other forms of writing may not exist. Okay, if you are working for a professional organization, and if they want you to write a blog for their company, then in that case it would not be that privilege won't be with you. Or if you are writing about sales copies or advertisement copies, then this is not possible, because the idea is to promote and sell your product. Okay, so sometimes you might have to be tactfully, mm, you know expressing beyond your emotions, something you are not liking it, but you need to engage in as a profession. So such kind of blog writing skills are very important for
Are you there?
Yeah, Deep, I'm here. Just a moment, I'll call him. I think he's offline. So just give me some minutes. Sorry to inform you all, we sorry it's facing our internet issue, so he will be right back in 5 minutes. I just contact him, so that will be our last slide for today. And when he come back, we'll wrap up our session. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, sir. Just a moment,
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are hearing
Okay.
you, sir.
Okay.
We can.
So, where did we get disconnected? Mine, because of my net issue, I had uh, some problems. So, where did we get disconnected? Can anyone remind me? We were talking about blogging, yes. So, the first slide was about what is blogging, the basic concepts of blogging. So, could you get into that?
Yeah, so we are in next slide of blogging.
Okay, so next slide of blog about the growing significance. So we'll talk about that from tomorrow. Then in that case, that would not be a problem. So let's wrap it up for today. So I would like to hear some of the learnings as we did yesterday, like one key learning from today's session, and then if you have any final questions, comments, then we'll wrap up. Okay, would that be fine? So whom will do a quick coordination, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
so
Okay,
you
sure.
can share your learnings or maybe unlearnings also, like something you might have thought this way, but you found out things are not really the way I have thought. So could be learning, unlearning, or relearning also. Okay, like reinforcing the idea that you already knew. So please share what did you learn from this session. This will be very useful for you also as an active participant. You can also write in your chat. I can see that. And some of you can also unmute yourself and share that I learned this thing, just one learning very quickly in less than a minute. Please share. I strongly encourage you to do this.
I learned that you need to have good critical reading and analysis skills to be original.
Okay. So you can also like be committed, as a very authentic learner. You can also be committed in the journey of knowing how to read critically, because there's so many literatures, and then you can also take the help of your mentors, how you can develop that skill of critical reading so that you can become authentic. Okay, thank you. Yes, what did you learn, all the participants?
Hello.
Yes, Emmanuel, are
Please, can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah. Today's section we started with today marks the day two of the 4 day um contest writing training session. In whichever we started with what makes a great contest content, and
yeah,
we we did mention some of a couple of them, as in one being the uniqueness, because every writing or article that you want to write on, someone has
yeah.
already um, written on that. So what makes your own different from the others is your ability to do it in a special to write it in a special way using some special characters. And you did made you understand that it should be readable, because in a sense that everyone has to be able to understand, because
Yeah,
you have
could you, sorry to interrupt, like one key learning that would be nice, or unlearning or relearning,
okay, one
very
key learn
briefly.
okay, I learned that uh, 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 with the aspect of blogging, you should be consistent, because you cannot um, update on your site today and in a few months time you come back, because you have to be
Yeah.
consistent at least every 2 days or 4 days.
Okay, consistency is a key to
Yeah,
master content writing, particularly blogging. Thank you.
sure.
Uh, I cannot see more, even messages in chats as well in terms of learning. So looks
Uh,
like the learning has not become as expected. Yeah, quick
sir,
two or three shares would help. Yeah,
sir,
Namrata, I can.
the yeah, okay.
No, I can see Namrata's text. You can just speak out. The another learner who is trying to speak, please speak out.
Sir, the blogging is like new to us, so I think all the information you give us, like the new thing or new learning for us right now. I think more example on blogging, like what kind of blog, the recent trends in blogs, any kind of information on that, that will be more helpful for us.
Okay, thank you. We'll try to touch on that tomorrow in tomorrow's session because we've just began with blogging. So we'll go more deep, trying to understand steps, processes, and some sample blogs. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So to be a good writer, you must be a good analyst, is what Namrata says, and that is the key. You know, if you have really learned this and you're really willing to internalize again, that's very important. We need to internalize what we have learned and we need to practice. So yes, if you are really an analyst, you just don't conform to what some reading says. You try to look out of the box. Yes, try to dig out. Is that really what has come up? Are there any missing information or knowledge or gaps? So if you embark on that journey, you'll become a very good writer, and that's very important in any type of writing. Yes, thank you. Nice to hear from you all. Okay, home, then over to you.
Thank you, sir. So let me conclude this session. Thank you, Kushal sir, for your wonderful session. And in your session, we learn about how to make uh, great content. And especially for me, I thought blog is just about a video. But through this session, I learned what exactly blog is, and it was it was really an amazing uh, session from you, sir. And we understand about what really blog is, and I thought it's an expression or thought that we are willing to express. And I would like to thank our tech partner Tech 101, media partner Live Mandu, and creative partner Pulpa Digital and EU5 series for their continuous support to highlight the halt at Quest International College. Thank you so much to all the participants and members for your active and interactive participation. Looking forward to seeing your next session tomorrow at the same time with a very inspiring and remaining part of our content and proposal writing session. With this, I would like to close today's session. See you all tomorrow with same enthusiasm that we had today. Thank you everyone and have a great time.
Okay, thank you. Have a great evening. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you, Kushal sir, for your session.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Kima, your issue will be addressed soon. भोलिको सेसनमा हामी त्यसलाई एड्रेस गर्छौँ नि. So, okay.